afternoon, and welcome to On the Mark with Mark Fages, a college basketball podcast. I'm Mark. This is my podcast. I'm back again today. We're going into Selection Sunday this week and going to be looking at all sorts of stuff going on with tournaments around the country. We're going to be talking about the Power Conference tournaments that are coming up in GURUVISION as the Guru returns after a couple weeks. And I'm going to start off the program today by talking about some of the smaller conferences and what's been going on as far as teams getting in there. First, I want to introduce my producer. Pretty Boy Champ is back in. He's been doing miracles for me the last couple weeks. How you doing, Todd?
Man, I'm excellent today. Happy to be part of On the Mark with Mark Fages. You know, I really enjoy producing.
It's awesome, man. You've been doing a really great job. I mean, all this stuff you see above me here, all these special March Madness and the graphics. He's a modern-day cowboy, and he knows what he's doing on that production, baby. And I'm going to bring him back in just a minute. But first, we're going to start off by going to a segment called Mid-Major Minutes. And I'm going to start off today by talking about the West Coast Conference. You know, we talk about mid-majors, and this is Gonzaga's conference, but they are the best team in the country, but technically a mid-major. They just got done beating BYU last night by 10 points. BYU will make the dance. They have 6 losses after last night, and 3 of their 6 losses have come to Gonzaga. So that says a lot. Their only bad loss was to Pepperdine, and right now they stand at 20-6. The Cougars' leading scorer is Alex Burcello, who has 16 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. They also have Matt Harum, the transfer from Purdue, 7'3". He's done wonders for that program with 11 points and 5 rebounds in his senior year as a transfer for the Cougars. BYU has wins over St. John's and the number 18th ranked San Diego State Aztecs. So that's a good win against the Aztecs. St. John's, they're not going to dance, but at the time, it's a Big East conference. And, you know, as I said to you before in past shows, that when you're looking at a team's non-conference schedule, to be looking for power conference teams, regardless of how good those teams are or not, because that's going to give you a bar that's set as far as how competitive they're going to be against better teams that play against better competition.
Excuse me, Mark, if I may, I just want to ask you just a real simple, quick question. Is Gonzaga going to be the number 1 overall seed? Because I've seen something a little differently than that. Could you talk to me about that real quick? Because they are a mid-major, but they've been number 1 wire to wire.
The entire time,
exactly.
Right? It's like the Cincinnati Reds in 1990, baby. Gonzaga, the big thing, and I've said this before on the program and going right into Gonzaga, the thing you need to know about Gonzaga is whether or not you've seen them play this year or not, is that they have, and I don't know when I looked this up, it was about mid-season, they have 4 of the top 20 players in all of Division I college basketball. That means that at least 3 of those guys are probably going into the league. Young Jalen Suggs is only like a freshman or a sophomore, and he's averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. He is a great passer. He's a dynamic passer who can hit somebody on the drop of a dime. He is, and also Jalen Suggs, the underclassman, is the highest-ranked recruit ever for Mark Fages' Gonzaga Bulldogs.
What number is he?
I don't have the number here in front of me. He is the guard, though.
And you know how much we love guards over here.
We know we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. I'm going to talk about the other Gonzaga guys because we haven't talked about Gonzaga much all year. They've just been sitting up there up front, up top, and it's almost like a lot of us have been sleeping on it. Like because they're going to be very good. They've got a couple of upperclassmen in Drew Time, who I think that's our Tim A. He's got Time with 2 M's. So he has 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. These guys have got good stats, man. That kid Jalen Suggs with 6 rebounds for Suggs. I know I'm backtracking to Suggs. That's a good rebounding guard right there. That's a good guard to have to rebound. Besides Drew Time, the star of the team is Corey Kissbert. He averages 19 points as well, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He loves to shoot the 3. That's the main thing Kissbert's going to do, is he loves shooting 3s. And then finally, the big man is Joel Ayaye, who's averaging 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. For a big man, 3 assists a game, that's a good number as well for a big to be throwing. The Zags. Now, this is very important, and this is why the Zags very well could be the national champion, what I'm going to tell you right now, and that's talking about the non-conference victories. These are the teams they beat: Kansas, Auburn, West Virginia. If you know about West Virginia, they have been really hot the last couple weeks. West Virginia's good. They beat Iowa. They beat Virginia. Like, all 5 of those, except Auburn's kind of borderline, those are all not just big wins, but huge wins.
I mean, they're smacking top teams from major conferences.
Right, the biggest of the big boys.
Yeah.
The biggest of the big boys. Now, moving on, I'm going to go to the conference that's really had my attention over these 2 schools, and that's the Valley with Loyola and Drake. And if you guys have watched the program, you know that I've got a thing for Drake. It's going to be interesting how they proceed. The Loyola and Drake played for the Valley Championship, and Loyola won that. Now, Loyola's 24-4, and their losses in non-conference came to Wisconsin, Big Ten team that's been ranked, and Richmond, who's fallen off, have got a lot of injuries. But when they lost to Richmond early in the season, Richmond was very good. They had just beaten Kentucky. They, I know.
Come
Kentucky's
on, man. Why you got to go there?
I know you love Kentucky. But, yeah, so neither one of those are terrible losses. They are the thing that you notice, and this is where we're going to get into this discussion with Todd here in a second, is Loyola is their main guy is Cameron Krutwig. He is a senior center, and he was part of the Final Four team recently. He leads the Ramblers with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. They call him a point forward because he's very good at distributing the ball for a big man. Now, that being said, he's the only double-figure scorer for the Ramblers, and 7 of the Ramblers right now are averaging 18 minutes or more. So you've got some guys that are getting good minutes there. Krutwig leads the team in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. And this is a perfect example, if I can bring the pretty boy champ back in here. We've had discussions over the course of the last couple weeks, and kind of the thing that you'd been more centric on is guard play. He's big on guard play, and the same day that we were talking about this with guard play, I kind of countered with my concerns about teams, small conference teams, with their big men, because usually these small conference teams like Drake, who have Darnell Brody that I've talked about many times, have got one good big man. But the concern is if that big man gets into trouble, and this is what you need to do when you're looking at your brackets, is to see who the backup is and what kind of stats and what that guy does with his minutes when the starter is out. Now, that being said, PBC over here is talking about the importance of guard play.
And I just want to emphasize not just guard, the point guard play. A guy who can put you in situations of read and recognition, like come down and recognize it's a trapping zone, or it's a 3-2, or they're in man-to-man, or when you take it out, it's a diamond press. Like that ability to read and react and put your team in the right position is going to be everything, because you're going to see so many different defenses from teams.
And that's the type of point guard that Drake normally has in Roman Penn, who is Roman Penn was supposed to be a first team all conference guard for the Bulldogs. Penn is out for the season. The other guard that they had injured recently was Tremel Murphy, who came back, and he scored 20 points the other night against Loyola in the loss during the championship game. Tremel Murphy is back. You have Roman Penn out, and you've had Shawnquan Hemphill, who is another guard, swingman type player who's been out since January. So that's 2 starters down. You had a third one out when Murphy was gone briefly. He's back. The thing that you notice if you look at that score from the championship game is that the Bulldogs, Drake, only played 7 guys. And I told PBC before this, 3 of the starting 5 played all 40 minutes, and that includes a guy who's normally a backup. So when we're talking about guard play, I've brought this guy up to him, Joe Yesufu, baby.
I like the young guy.
Did you have a chance to look at it?
Yeah, and before we get started, let me just say I have a really, really soft spot for Drake. My wife is from Des Moines, Iowa. She lived maybe 3 streets over. She stayed on 21st. Drake was right 3 streets over. So I really have a soft spot for Drake because I met my wife in Des Moines, Iowa. So
you know what's going to be fun about this is let me get. You've got Jonah Jackson. Not much time. He's going to be the last guy off the bench, which is like the 7th guy.
And they're only playing 7.
They're going to have Issa Samaka. Samaka is going to be the guy that you need to be paying attention to as far as backing up Darnell Brody. What's going to be fun about this is they made it to the championship game, and with these injuries, the experts were saying that they needed to at least make a good run in the Valley Championship to advance. They have only lost 4 games. They will dance. What's going to be fun about watching them dance is they don't have a lot of guys playing. So we're gonna see how they get through the
well, as a coach, you already know you're playing 7 guys. So now we're playing zone most of the game because I can't exert enough defense in man-to-man or press guys. We're going to have to see Drake play a different style, and if they can adapt to playing that different style. Because with 7 guys, you really, really have to conserve your timeouts. You can't really allow a team to get on a run because you can't really afford to blow those timeouts. So, like, a zone, switching up the defense, you're not going to be able to really pressure the ball like you want to or trap like you want to. So it's going to be tough not being able to pressure the ball and play very, very a lot of half-court games.
Yeah, it's going to be half-court. That's kind of where I was going with following what you're saying because, with a depleted lineup, I've seen Drake play a couple times, and I'm not sure in those times how much they press. But they're not going to be able to press.
But they're just like any other team that we watch nowadays that get up and down and like to shoot the easy transition 3. And when you have to slow it down, that's really going to kill them in that transition game. I worry about them because they don't have a really, really solid big where they can dominate from the middle. So
you're still talking about Drake?
Yes.
Okay.
So like
he's not a big. He's not the thing I wrote about him was isn't a light up scorer, but he is vital for rebounds. You have to have Brody in there for rebounds, and if he gets in foul trouble, then you've got a small experienced guy in Samaka coming in and to back him up. So.
What's his size like? What's his Samaka size like?
Samaka is taller. He's lankier. I think he might be taller than Brody. I think Brody's about 6'9", maybe.
Okay.
But Samaka's kind of skinny. He's
He's a thin tweener.
Yeah, he still needs to put some meat on those bones.
Yeah, if he runs into somebody that's physical, he'll struggle. But if he can play against another athletic guy, he might be able to just out jump him and outrun him. You know, it's all about matchups.
We can't forget this now, because I want to talk about Yesufu before we get out of here, because this is going to your point, talking about a point guard centric offense. It's going to be fun. You got to watch Drake play their game when you get a chance, because it's going to be a lot of fun seeing freshman point guard Joe Yesufu get a play in the dance. And the reason I'm saying that is I got to see him play 2 nights in a row against Evansville both nights. And those nights, he scored 32, followed by 36 points a game in his first opportunities as a starter with Roman Penn going out. I think it's probably a pretty good time right now to maybe take a commercial break. We're going to come back, and I'm going to be talking about more of the small school teams that have made it into the dance so far. That'll be in segment 2, and that's coming up next here on the Mark with Mark Fages on the Score on Air Network.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater people. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player, that is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327 or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
Do you have design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656.
Welcome back to On the Mark with Mark Fages. I'm Mark. This is my college basketball podcast. Second segment's here. We're working our way through the business, getting all ramped up and excited for Selection Sunday coming up this weekend. Going to continue breaking down some of the teams that have made it in already, the smaller conference teams. The first two, they're both going to make it in, but they haven't played their championship game yet. I'm going to talk about the American Conference. Wichita, they are on top, even though Houston is, I think, a top 10 team right now. Wichita beat Houston head-to-head not too long ago, and now they're finishing off the American Conference tournament. If anybody else gets in besides Wichita or Houston, it could be a 3-bid conference. It really could, because I'm looking at it, and Wichita's only got 4 losses. They have L's to Oklahoma State and Missouri, who are both good teams, and they beat Mississippi, Ole Miss, and Ole Miss not a real strong team, but a power conference team in any regard. So you have to have that as a credit to Wichita's record. They are 15-4. Their main player is Tyson Etney, I think is how you say it. He averages 17 points, 3 boards, 3 assists a game. Their big man is Morris Udez, who averages 10 points and 4 rebounds. Seen some highlights on him. Actually had a chance to watch Wichita. Pretty good team. They'll have a chance to win a game, that's for sure. I'm going to move on and actually bring Todd in here because I mentioned Oklahoma State, and I'm going to take a brief pause from the small conference teams. You know, we found out, Todd, that unfortunate news about Oklahoma State. We were talking about them a whole lot last week. Todd and I were both, I can speak with him. We're both very excited about Oklahoma State and how, you know, we were talking about Cade Cunningham and the other freshman, Moncrief.
Yep.
And, you know, all that talk that we did last week, it was all for naught. It's unfortunate, but it was all for naught because at the end of the day, after we got done doing the program, got home and found out that they have probation for 3 years and are out of the tournament. And that being said, they've been very hot. They've been a very hot team, and I wouldn't say it's as bad as I think of it like with Dayton last year with the tournament getting canceled. Like, I feel like it was a real shame that Dayton didn't get at least play those games.
Yeah, you know, Dayton had a really strong team, but when you look at that Cade Cunningham guy, it's like he's a tournament winner. You put him in, and he'll drop 30, 40, and win 2 or 3 games where he scares you.
Let me tell you something, though, because we've talked about Cunningham pretty extensively, and I know you love him, and I like him too. But when I was talking about Gonzaga and the 4 players that were in the top 20, actually, at the time that I looked, which was about 2 months ago, Cunningham was actually the 22nd ranked, so he was just outside of the top 20, but he's a top 25 player. He was the number 1 recruit out of high school going to that program with the Cowboys.
But it just showed how much upside he had because if you look a month ago, 6 weeks ago, he's not in the top 20. But by now, where'd you put him at? 3, 4 right now? Like, literally, seriously, this run he's had in the last 3 weeks is just like so they're out of the tournament. Yeah.
His one season, he doesn't get a dance, and if they're still under probation, he's not coming back next year. He's going into the draft. And a thing about Cunningham, you remember I questioned you last week about the eye test. And what I established from rewatching the show is you established that the eye test is actually about an individual.
Always.
And not about the team totally. And I got to thinking about that, what you had to say, and watched Cunningham and Oklahoma State play, and you can just tell like the way he moves,
he jumps off the pace.
The way he moves away from the ball.
His skill set, he plays easy. You can tell when a guy is really working and when it's really very comfortable to him. In basketball, as hard of a game it is, it looks really easy. And when it looks that way to a guy, it just jumps off the page. Like, he's really smooth. He's really slick. You
know what I just realized we're doing too? We're talking about a team that's not going to be in the dance. Maybe we should move forward. Okay. Bye, Oklahoma State.
Bye, Oklahoma. Hey,
it's time for Drexel.
Thank you, Mark Fages, for giving us a little bit of love over here.
It's time for Drexel. And Drexel's losses came to Pitt, which is an ACC school, and LaSalle, which the only reason I'm going to bring up they're losing to LaSalle and beating St. Joe's is a little folklore lesson for you all folks out there that might not know. Drexel would be considered the 6th team in what is referred to as the Big Five. And if you don't know what the Big Five is the schools in Philadelphia: Villanova, Penn, LaSalle, Temple, St. Joe's. That's the Big Five, and Drexel isn't far away from Philadelphia, so they call that the Big Five. But I bring up the loss to LaSalle and the victory against St. Joe's, and St. Joe's was not good. They were really bad this year. I bring it up because those are rivalry games for those guys. They live to play against other Philadelphia schools every year and have a chance to get bragging rights. Their big man, he's the point guard. By the way, they're 12-7. Is Cameron Winter. He averages 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. A well-rounded junior guard. They also have a guy named James Butler, 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's a senior power forward. This team is basically run by their starters are a junior, 2 seniors, and 2 sophomores. TJ Bickerstaff is one of the sophomores, as well as a Hungarian swingman by the name of Matej Okras, who rounds out the Dragons' top 5. Moving on, we're going to talk about a couple of the 16 seeds. Appalachian State, who is 17-11, out of the Sun Belt Conference, came out of nowhere in the last couple days. This is a team that had 4 conference teams with better overall winning percentages than them that went on to win their tournament, and at 17-11 and a 4-game winning streak, the Appalachian State Mountaineers are about to dance. Their losses came to Tennessee and Auburn. Not too bad, not too shabby, losing to a couple SEC teams. And their big player is Adrian Delph. He has the most minutes for the Mountaineers, and he scores 13 points, 5 rebounds. He's a junior guard. Justin Forrest is another senior guard, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And Michael Almanacci is their third player, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. The next 16 seed besides Appalachian State. That's what they're saying about Appalachian State. It makes sense because they came out of nowhere. They don't have a good record. Here's a team with a worse record.
Before you move on, Appalachian State are they considered to be a like a play-in game? So would they be playing Tuesday?
Yes, they might play like North Carolina A&T. They might play against this next team that I'm talking about right now in the 12-10. Actually, you were talking about Gonzaga, and we were thinking about whether they're going to be the outright number 1 seed.
And I heard a rumor about that, but go ahead, and I wanted to ask you about that.
These 2 teams, Appalachian State and Mount St. Mary, could be the play-in game. That could be the play-in game because those are terrible records. Mount St. Mary's 12-10. Appalachian State 17-11. That could be the play-in game for the number 1 seed. Who's going to be? It's going to be Gonzaga. They've won their tournament. They're number 1. They're the number 1 seed.
It's not what I heard.
Okay, we'll get to it. 4 games winning streak. For Mount St. Mary's got a 4-game winning streak. Their losses were to Maryland, VCU, and Navy. I don't know about Navy, but Maryland and VCU are decent programs this year. Mount St. Mary's main player is Damian Chong K, 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. I've got about 3 more teams I'm going to talk about here, trying to cover as many of the teams that are already in as I can. Winthrop, under Pat Kelsey in his 9th season in Rock Hill, South Carolina, has only lost 1 game this year. They're 23-1, but no big W's. When you look at their record, it's mostly conference games. I haven't seen too many non-conference, power conference teams that they played. So don't be fooled by that 23-1 record, and also be aware of who's the backup big man. It's another one of those cases of who's the backup. The main player for the Winthrop Eagles is Chandler Vaudren, a senior guard, 12.7 rebounds, 7 assists. That's a good rebounding guard there again, Todd. 7 rebounds for Vaudren. He leads the team in points, rebounds, steals, and assists. So it's another one of those guys. It makes me think of Krutwig for Loyola. You know, one of these guys that does it all. They've got to stay in the game because, otherwise somebody else has got to answer, and that's going to be tough for a team that's only got 1 or 2 stars. Liberty, undefeated at home this year, 23-5, didn't lose a game at home. Their best player is Darius McGee.
Too bad they ain't playing the tournament at home.
That you're not wrong. Darius McGee led the team in points and rebounds, 16 points, 4 rebounds a game. Cleveland State wrapped up the Horizon League last night. They played Oakland, and Cleveland State's 19-7. Their losses are to Toledo, Ohio, and Ohio State. I don't think any of those are bad losses for Cleveland State. Ohio State was ranked at the time. Toledo is favored to win the Mid-American Conference. And Ohio, I'm not sure about them. I thought that they did pretty well, but those were the losses for Cleveland State. Toledo, Ohio, and Ohio State. Torrey Payton is the Cleveland State main player, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. I guess I'll mention Siena, even though I'm not sure if they're in yet. I've got them written down because I thought that they were on their way to the dance. They're 12-4. All 4 of their losses were close conference losses. So, yeah, close conference losses in the, I don't know what the MAAC stands for. Do you know what that is, Todd? The Mid-Atlantic, something like that. I don't know about those 4 losses. I mean, close games, I understand, but, man, they are conference games. I'm between now, folks, and next week when we have our brackets, we need to be looking at Appalachian State, Mount St. Mary's, Winthrop, Liberty, Cleveland State, Siena, Grand Canyon, and trying to figure out who's going to get the upset, Todd. Who's going to get the upset? It's not going to be Appalachian State or Mount St. Mary's against Gonzaga.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But see, and here, okay, since we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. How is Illinois ranked ahead of Michigan?
They beat them, didn't they?
I mean,
they beat them.
Listen, when you're
they beat them right before they came to Ohio State.
When you have 6 losses and one team has 3 losses, what are you talking about? And one team only has 3 losses in the conference. One team has 4 losses.
Okay, you're forgetting the game. Illinois played and beat Michigan. They didn't just beat Michigan. They beat Michigan at home.
Okay.
And they beat them before DeSunmu came back. Because I don't think DeSunmu played in that game. He came back for the Ohio State game, which was the game after the Michigan game.
So let me get this straight. You're an undefeated team. You're stomping everybody out, correct?
We're talking about Michigan?
Yes. You're stomping everyone out, correct? And you go to lose to Illinois, and now it's just like, listen, dude, you're undefeated. You're stomping everyone out.
But you're slipping on this, Todd. After Illinois,
they lost to Michigan State the other night. That's a rivalry game, though. That doesn't count. And it's the end of the game. It's the end of the. You've already won the conference. It's the end of the season. This is your rivalry. They're playing their hearts out.
It is the time of the year that Izzo gets hot. Regardless, Izzo gets hot this time.
Exactly.
So yeah, but we'll see, man. I don't know about Michigan. I've in the Big Ten. I think I like Illinois with DeSunmu coming back.
I like Baylor as an overall number 1 seed.
But we're talking about the Big Ten.
I know, man.
So who are you? Who do you like?
I like Illinois because that guard play is hard. Let's be real.
Frazier.
Let's be real. I don't like Michigan's guard play. They don't penetrate enough for me. They don't attack, and I don't feel like they get other guys involved enough. I think their bigs are really their catalyst. They pass out the post really, really well. I cannot deny their posts. Their bigs pass out the post extremely well, and that helps their ball movement tremendously. But they don't penetrate enough against the really good teams because you got to have that penetration and put that pressure on that back line.
So he's talking about guard play now. He's talking about that guard play. So when Michigan plays, what he's saying, make sure that you are watching Isaiah Livers. It's is Livers doing enough? Is Livers doing what Todd says, or is Livers going to start initiating more attacking of the paint and of the basket? So,
I mean, they're literally, when I watch Michigan play, I've seen them play 4 times, and their guards are perimeter dribblers. And that doesn't help you in tournament time. You have to attack the paint. you have to get down on someone's bigs. Even if he's a shot blocker, you have to go to his chest. That is how you establish yourself. And the really good ones, they'll be able to do that. Like I didn't see any college basketball tournament last year, so like this year I'm just chomping at the bit. I can't wait to see, because there's always a guy
we are all chomping at the bit.
It's always a guy like Van Fleet. I know people don't remember him from Wichita, but he's that guy. I know everybody remember what his name, Mateen Cleaves, but Van Fleet was the guy that was the catalyst.
It pushed them to the final.
Man, like no one realized that, but his guard play, his exceptional point guard play was able to get guys to where they needed to be. Like,
so I think we've both made our pick. We've made our pick for the Big Ten. I'm going to stick with it. We'll see if he sticks with it.
Yeah, I'm going with Illinois. I've seen Illinois play, that guard play. They got their big back.
I don't feel that the Illini got enough credit all year. I got to see one game after and it was recent, and I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So we got a little bit broken down most of the teams that have gotten automatic bids, and we got to talk a little bit about the Big Ten. Going to maybe talk about the Big Ten a little bit more, but we're definitely going to be talking about all the power conferences and the power conference tournaments as March Madness heats up, folks. And we will be back here on the Mark with Mark Fages with the next segment. It's been a while, Guru Vision, right here on the Score On Air Network.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater people. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player, that is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327 or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
Do you have design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656.
Welcome back to On the Mark with Mark Fages, a college basketball podcast. I'm Mark. I hope you've been enjoying this week's show. Been talking about teams that have gotten in. Been talking about the Big Ten. And now, after a couple weeks away from the show, it's time to bring in the mind of the master. That's right. It's Will Turpin in GURUVISION. Bringing him in right now from Danville, Kentucky. How are you doing today, Mr. Guru?
It's good to be back on the show. I mean, this is the time of year that we've been waiting for. We've had to wait an extra year for it to get here, so I'm just jacked.
Double the excitement. Yeah, man, me and Todd were talking during the break. We are excited about this. And, Guru, we're going to talk about these power conferences now and what's going on between now and Selection Sunday. Going to start off in the Big East, where the best team in the Big East is hurting. Colin Gillespie is out for the year, and Justin Moore is out for the Big East tournament. Who knows if they're going to get him back? Caleb Daniels is going to be the guy that they're going to need to have some good guard play from Caleb Daniels. I don't know how much of a playmaker Caleb Daniels is, but he is a catch and shoot type of guy. He's not the biggest distributor. What do you think about Nova's situation? They're in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a rough spot. If you look at that Big East bracket there, they're going to play the winner of Georgetown and Marquette, but then right after that, it could get really interesting because if they win that game, then they're staring at St. John's, Seton Hall. I mean, they're probably going to have a hard time getting through. I think UConn is a team that's playing really good, and with Villanova's current situation, I really just don't see them winning this tournament.
No, I don't see them winning this tournament, and I think they'll be lucky if they get out of the first weekend of the big dance. UConn is 14-6. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they are led by R.J. Cole with 13 points, 4 assists. They're also led by one of my personal favorite players in the country, in Isaiah Whaley. Whaley has been he's taken on a bigger workload, especially when James Boyknight was out earlier this year. Whaley had been a guy off the bench. He's a starter now, and for a 6'7", 6'8" power forward, he is a prolific shot blocker. I'm a big fan of Whaley, and as much as Xavier's my favorite team, I think I'm going to follow the Guru's lead here and say that UConn's probably going to win that thing.
Yeah, and right up above them, I think it's going to be interesting too. You got Xavier and Butler, and then after that, they're staring at a matchup with Creighton. Really Xavier, I guess they're going to get in as long as they beat Butler.
Yeah, they need to play with a chip on their shoulder. The Musketeers have lost 5 of their last 7 games. That's not a good look or a good way to go in. It's certainly not going to impress anybody in the selection committee. If they don't beat Butler. Butler's not that good. I know they had an upset recently, but Xavier needs to win a game or two. They had that big win against Creighton, and then they had the falling off and lost against Georgetown and Marquette. So anything can happen, Will.
Yeah, and I think they do have a chance to revitalize their season. Like I said, you get that win against Butler, and then you go in there and smack Creighton again. And then if they was to do that, I think this is the part of the bracket that I really think everyone should focus on is, if they was to beat Creighton, then, them or UConn has a clear path all the way out, probably to win the whole thing. Cause I don't see anybody in the top half who's going to win the top half? St. John's, Seton Hall,
This is a kind of a.
It looks like.
So, I'm concerned about Creighton because of the whole controversy with McDermott and having those questionable comments with his players. Like if he's going to be able to keep that house together, going into the dance. So that is the Big East. I think Seton Hall's probably out of that. I'd mention Seton Hall, but they're 13-12, so they're done. So do we know even, Will, is it 3 or 4, or what are we leaning towards as far as the Big East getting a couple teams in?
Of course, Villanova and Creighton are pretty much locks. UConn, they look like a lock. That's 3. Xavier looks, as long as they beat Butler, that's a lock. That's 4. St. John's, they would probably have to. Let's see where I've got them. I mean, they'd have to win a lot. They're not anywhere close to being the first 7 or 8 out. I don't know how that's going to work. Yeah, because it looks like St. John's, who's the 4 seed, is probably on the outside looking in, aren't they?
So right now, along with yourself, Guru, we're both kind of insinuating that we think that UConn might be the team that comes out and surprises people this weekend in the Big East Conference Championship.
Absolutely, and probably next weekend as well.
So we've already kind of covered the Big Ten. Just since we've already done it, I just want to kind of maybe get your favorite on who you like coming out of the Big Ten this weekend.
Yeah, I was super disappointed in how Ohio State finished the year with those 4 straight losses.
That's terrible.
That was definitely disappointing. But I still think they're the 4th best team in that conference. I still think they're better than Purdue. And I loved Illinois all year. I really have. I just think it's a chance for Iowa to play themselves up, because right now I'm looking at Illinois is probably, if they win this tournament, they're a clear 1 seed. But if Iowa could win it, Iowa could maybe make a mark to get that 4th 1 seed. I don't know. That just depends on how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But
you like Iowa?
Yeah, Illinois is the team that I would like over here.
Oh,
If I may ask a question, Guru, if Iowa runs the table, will that still make room for Illinois to get the 1 seed too? Will we see 2 big teams with a 1 seed?
Big Ten teams.
No, I don't think so. I think it would be a situation where Iowa could move up, or Alabama, one of those 2 could possibly move up, and then West Virginia probably goes from a 3 to a 2, and then Illinois probably could drop down to a 2 or 3 depending on which round they lose in. So a lot up in the air in the Big East, because you could easily be a 1 seed or a 3 seed, and that's Illinois and Iowa both. So neither one of those teams can afford an early upset.
You mentioned West Virginia and Baylor. West Virginia is very hot. I believe Baylor. Am I correct when I say that Baylor beat West Virginia at home recently?
Yeah, they had a slugfest both times they played. I honestly think West Virginia is better than the record 18-8. I think they're one of the teams that in the Big 12 that this is the weekend that they need to shine. I think it needs to be Baylor and West Virginia once again in the finals. That's what really needs to happen. And there's still implications there. I don't think Baylor can get the 1 overall seed. I don't see that happening. But you also have Michigan, in the Big Ten too. That's quality shot at a 1 seed as well. So I think the 1 and 2 lines could be interesting. I just don't think Houston or really Houston's the only 2 seed that could move up. I don't see them going to the 1 line either. So I think Michigan's, as long as they don't get beat early, they probably got a 1 seed as well.
Right on. So maybe move on to something that we know you're passionate about, the SEC. You just brought up Alabama. Is Alabama still the highest ranked team ahead of Arkansas there?
Yeah, they are. They got a little bit of a difficult path. They might have to play UK in the 2nd round, so that's kind of interesting. I think that's not the path that they would have wanted. Kentucky starting to play a little bit better right now, but they should get all the way to the finals based on the way they played consistently all year. Them and Arkansas is the 2 teams that I really think, because Tennessee really kind of.
I was going to say Tennessee is
on the way in.
Tennessee's really just dropped off the map. It seems like. Are they ranked?
Yeah, they are. I think they're still. Well, they may not be ranked now. They may have just fallen out. I didn't even actually look at that, but they're definitely not playing well. But if you look at them and Louisiana State, neither one of those teams are really playing that well. But they all have, Tennessee and LSU has the kind of roster that could, get to an Elite 8, but they just haven't played that way all year. But it's still there. They at least have the roster. LSU's probably got 3 NBA players on their team, and 3 first-round picks probably on their team. So but they just haven't played consistently.
I was listening to Rick Barnes talk the other night in an interview, and of course he's going to be very biased because he's an SEC coach, but he thinks that they're going to get seven teams in. It seems like a lot of teams, or has everybody really stepped up their game in the last month and made that something that can be validated?
Yeah, I think he's crazy. Let's see, how many have I got here right now? I'm looking to.
Yeah, he's nuts.
3, 4, 5. Thing of it is LSU, Missouri, and Florida. None of those teams played all that great, But just because they're in a Power 5 and they had winning, they're all going to get in. Yeah, Florida, Missouri, and LSU are all going to get in. I have no confidence in any of them doing anything. But
this is an SEC guy talking too.
That's just what I'm seeing. I mean, there's just nobody consistent. I want to see a team like UConn that's actually playing really good. Illinois is playing really good. Kansas is playing better. West Virginia is playing really good. Arkansas is playing really good. But you got so many teams that aren't playing really good, like Louisville down there. I mean, they're sort of limping into the tournament. And Texas is limping into the tournament. Ohio State's limping into the tournament. Florida, Missouri, and LSU, all three are limping into the tournament. Wisconsin's limping into the tournament. Oklahoma, I mean, they better be glad there's not another week left in the season, or they might not even make the tournament.
Man. So right on. So that's the SEC, and I see your background, and I guess you must have known that the Pretty Boy Champ was coming in if you knew that he's a Kentucky fan. I see that welcome to Rupp Arena back there. And I'll transition from the SEC to something that the Guru and Pretty Boy Champ could really come together on and become allies on, and that's going to the ACC. And Pretty Boy Champ is a huge Florida State Seminoles football fan. I think you guys maybe can get together and get the Florida State bandwagon going here for a little March Madness run. We were talking about Leonard Hamilton with his big contract last week. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this Florida State Come on, Todd. What do you guys think of this Florida State basketball team?
Before we even get started, I'm just going to say they paid the man and then they lost 2 games. Okay,
that is true.
So
that is true.
Wait to the end of the season. They were really hot. They started off good and they lost. They had a really bad loss, North Carolina, because they were up 17 points and North Carolina came back and won that game.
That was a bad.
That was a terrible loss.
I turned that game off because I thought it was over. I thought it was done, but you know what about it? I see what you're saying about wait till the end of the season, but I don't know when that contract goes into effect because maybe if he does good in the SEC tournament and does good in the tournament,
then you owe him more money.
Well, yeah, those bonuses that we talked about, he would get.
I understand.
How do you feel about Florida State and the rest of the ACC, Mr. Guru?
I think it's time for Florida State to validate this season. I mean, they're going to get an opportunity right out of the gate. They're going to get to play Duke or Louisville, a blue blood school, and they need to win that game because they're a stepchild sort of of the ACC, and they need to step up here and get it done. And if you go down there, but they may have a chance to beat Notre Dame because I think they're going to beat Notre Dame and Virginia Tech.
You're dead right. I mean, I think everybody, when they talk about Florida State, they think football. And Leonard Hamilton, I think, is it 19 years, Will, that he's been at Florida State? He's been there a long time. And
they've made a run the last 5 years. They've been a really tough ACC team, but they have not been able to. How it was Duke in North Carolina and Virginia was able to turn that corner and get over that hump and really compete. I just don't see where Florida State has really turned that knob.
And Todd, it really hasn't been the last 5 years. It's only been like the last 2 or 3 years because if you look at Leonard Hamilton's record, he's had 3 Sweet 16s, one of which was way back when he was with Miami, and an Elite 8. And one of those Elite 8s and one of those Sweet 16s were 2018 and 2019. That's why he got the extension. Mm-hmm. That's why he got the extension.
He's showing the uptick now, being able to compete.
They're finally doing it. And just like the Guru here is telling us, folks, it's time for Leonard Hamilton to prove he's got that contract. He's worth that money. Any who else is in the so
before
Duke.
That I think that it definitely Florida State has to make that run. With Carolina being down, Duke being down, all these teams.
He's questioning Louisville.
Me too. Louisville, yeah. Me too. With Louisville being down, also those are what he said, blue blood schools. when those programs are down, a team like Florida State who has the athletes and can compete, you should be winning when those schools are down. So I expect them to at least hopefully make a run. It would be nice.
Will, before we move on, we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask you, who do you have winning the ACC tournament this weekend?
I'm really big on North Carolina as well. I think that's what the game I want to see in the semifinal is in the bottom part. I want to see Florida State beat the winner of the Duke-Louisville game and then play hopefully the winner of, let's see. Virginia's up in the top of the bracket.
That's right.
And they get there easy.
They've been shaky. Virginia's been shaky. What about Virginia Tech? We were talking about Virginia Tech not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a barn burner between. I think they'll play Carolina in the quarter, and then probably play Florida State after that. So it'll be good games this weekend. But I'm saying Florida State can validate, and it's time that they need to validate.
Mm-hmm.
It should, and I think I kind of got you alluding through going through the tournament, maybe getting another shot at North Carolina for what they did to them a week ago, trying to get a little payback. So that's the ACC. We've got what's left here, the Pac-12. The Pac-12 with USC. The Trojans are on top of the Pac-12 as we speak. I'm not even sure who other than them. Colorado maybe would be in. How many bids can we expect from this power conference, the Pac-12, who for the last several years seems like they've been down a little bit, Will? Is there anybody beyond Southern Cal and maybe Colorado that we can see dancing here? Like, what's going on this weekend there?
It looks like right now I've got Colorado actually on a 5 seed. And let's see, I think UCLA is probably a 10 seed. And I'm missing here. Lighting's not the best. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it. So we didn't save the best for last with the Pac-12. That's for sure. But it's really, there's just nobody out there that I really see. The good team out west is Gonzaga, and they're not in the Pac-12. They should be, though.
Right.
That's laughable. Gonzaga is not playing in the Pac-12, really. That's where they need to be.
Folks, next week we are going to have our bracket show. I'm hoping that we get the Guru back in. Probably maybe get the PBC to come back in.
I'll be here.
PBC's been doing that. You've been doing a great job, PBC.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And Guru, it's good to see your face again, buddy.
Guru, it's good to meet you. I've been dying for this moment, man. Thank you for coming on.
You too, man. I enjoy the show. This is one of my favorite shows all year.
So we got selection Wednesday next week, picking our brackets.
Yeah, selection Sunday is Sunday, and then we're going to get a nice fancy bracket up here beside me, and we're going to talk about who you should be thinking about for upsets and who you should be thinking about in advancing in March Madness. Hope you all have enjoyed my show. This is On the Mark with Mark Fages, a college basketball podcast. Going to be here next Wednesday at 2. You can check out recorded episodes on our YouTube page at the Score On Air Network. I'm Mark. That's PBC. We'll see you next week.